in THD, we probably talk about the failures more than the successes.
Yeah.
Because if you think about when, I think it was roughly 2015, our CTO asked us a question, if I could build one thing for you from a technology perspective, what would it be? So we went away, literally, all came up with the exact same answers. How fast can we flip a website from English to German to Italian to Swedish, whatever? And that was the ask from the CTO. He came up with an idea called the franking machine,
Right.
which basically was the ability to be able to flip a website, translate it, and have relevant payment methods plugged in, etc., within the space of 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
And then we launched about 70 native websites in 2015. And then from that, if you look at the trajectory of THG from that moment forwards, it was explosive. And that alone set us up perfectly for, call it, the issue that we all had, supply chain issue in COVID.
Right.
And people were locked at home, but were shopping online. We were well equipped at that point.
Tom, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I feel like, we're in your studios today. So appreciate you having us in. And I feel like after the World Cup, we probably should have used maybe the overlap set or.
Not sure Gary would have let us, but he was out of town, so we might have been able to do it. Yeah. He'll sneak you in, but we won't be able to record then.
Yeah. Well, I'll kick it off. So I just want to more get to know you, I guess. Just the journey you've been on, and what that's looked like. So I guess like where for you did it all start in terms of just when you realised you were a business leader?
I don't think I still view myself as a business leader.
Yeah.
It's just been a process, right? I guess depends how far you want to go, but I don't know how, like you've got a certain character, right? And you're defined by certain things that happen in your life.
Yeah.
Just like me. I mean, I've always played sport my entire life, always been involved in fitness, and then when the organic opportunity to, I suppose, build my pro team with a small group of people, I think it was like 7 people at the time. It was quite unique to connect to passion and then do something like that. And I knew absolutely nothing about ecom at the time. But how I view myself as a leader or see myself as a leader, I guess I am via title.
Yeah.
But genuinely, I think I work, and I don't just say this because it's quite, you can air tag this easy, but it's just the guys under me, my direct reports, I have to work for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've got to support them as much as possible. They've got to be rock stars though.
Yeah.
Because underneath them, they need to be rock stars.
Yeah.
Because in the operational infrastructure itself, there's like 3,000 to 4,000 people.
Comes from that sort of place of to serve the people and.
In a way, yeah. I mean, I'd like to think I'm a bit of a people person. Yeah. I'm tough and I'm fair. That's the way I would put it. Just because of my upbringing, it's just the way I am.
And so go on then. So to wind it back, like what was like your upbringing like? Sport. What sort of things were you into?
Yeah. All I ever wanted to be was a footy player, right? Like every other kid in Manchester, pretty much. Growing up with the greatest football team that's ever been constructed in the world.
On the
Man
planet.
United, of course, yeah. But I literally grew up, I was born in Trafford Hospital, right? So literally across the road, Man United fan. I just wanted to play footy. That was it.
Yeah.
In school, messed it up. Had a nasty knee injury. I remember a kid punched me in the face once on my first day at primary school and broke my nose. Hence why I've got a really dodgy bugle now. A bit more like a toucan or a samosa. But he just punched me in the nose for no reason at all. And I went home crying to my dad, and my dad was a bit of a tough geezer. Yeah. So he said, I'm not having this. Took me to karate the very next day. I was crying all the way there. I was only like, 11? And as soon as I got there, I loved it. I mean, I did it 5 days a week, and it created an incredible discipline within me. Yeah. Because it was self-defense. It's not fighting. It's self-defense. So I loved it. And I was black belt 3rd Dan within 2 years. And, from then onwards...
Do competitions and...
Yeah, and from then onwards, it was never... I became competitive really fast. Do you know what I mean? And then you create a discipline which is kind of still within me today, even though I was a young kid at the time. Yeah. I love karate, loved it. But then I started playing football a little bit later, slightly after that. I always had a football as a kid, but I would say I was skinny and not that great.
What position?
Centre mid, number 8.
Oh, right.
Yeah, bit of an engine.
Good engine, yeah.
Yeah, nasty tackle. But, so I did karate and then started playing football, and then got on the books at City for a bit, then had a really nasty injury to my knee. I had to have reconstructive knee surgery, and that literally just defined the fact that I could never play football.
Yeah.
But my whole life was just geared to just doing something from a sporting perspective. So the competitive nature, I suppose the team environment, you know, the banter, you know, the lifestyle. It was all what I wanted to do. And then after that, you kind of have to reshape yourself. You know, I left school with arguably next to nothing.
Right.
I had to then go to college to go, right, I have to start again.
Yeah.
Which was from ground zero.
Total different outlook.
I mean, Matt Moulding once heard a story about me that I never really told anyone until he found out inadvertently, which was that I started working as a cleaner in a health club.
Right.
In Manchester. It was called Living Well at the time. It was owned by Hilton Hotel Group, yeah. And that was just while I went to college, because one of my best mates worked there, and actually we're like, we love the gym, so it's a free gym. It's the most prestigious gym in Manchester. There's only like one there at the time. Now it's every corner. So, and obviously the MEN Arena, it was called back then, used to have all the celebrities come in, and honestly, I swear to God, I got to know, I knew Britney Spears, you know, The Rock Johnson, twice met him, all of the Spice Girls, all them, they all used to come in. Yeah. Brilliant. So as a young kid, and then I got doing that job, and then I was doing college at the time. I just ran from Pendleton College in Salford to Manchester every day, so I was fit as a fiddle. Yeah. And then I'd work 5 till 10 p.m, 5 days a week. And then from that, I started becoming a personal trainer because my fitness knowledge was of a quite high level. Yeah. So then the Hilton Group put me through loads of qualifications. So from that, I ran that club within 6 years.
And was that a normal thing for them to do, to put people through those qualifications?
The Hilton Group were amazing at some of the things about recruitment, actually. So you're in recruitment. And their strapline was just ask. Ask meant attitude, skills and knowledge. And that always stuck with me my entire time. When I'm recruiting, I look for 3 things, and it's still today, those 3 things.
Still instilled.
Because I'm pretty certain, you know, when people get to me now, the definition of people being able to do the job is done. Yeah. Because they'll speak to Paul Ashurst or something in operational solutions. He's done the technical aspects. Now I'm looking at your character. Yeah. What you're made of. Yeah. And are you going to be part of the team, and what can you add? So that was kind of the journey up to that point. I ran that health club. Then I ran another one in Barnsley. Yeah. Then I went to another company, ran 27 of them. Then I went to Europe and managed loads of them. And then at that point, I felt like I hit a glass ceiling. I was living in Austria, in Vienna at the time. Yeah. And built one of the best personal training centres in the world. You know, it's amazing, this place. And then I felt I hit a glass ceiling, thinking, what am I going to do next? And then one of my mates got the CEO role at Manchester United, I wish, but My Pro Team, and said, come, you know, and join the team. First of all, I said, what for? I mean, My Pro Team is a terrible brand. I've used it once and didn't like the products, didn't like the service.
And did you use it like through your mate, knowing he was sorting the product?
No, I didn't know. I used it.
You came across it?
Yeah, I did.
Normally?
Yeah, and that was before I went to Vienna as well. So, yeah, but then while I was in Vienna, it wasn't, you know, there was loads of other brands there, more local. So anyway, he asked me to come join the team because he wanted to change the management structure and build like a super brand, a nutrition super brand. And I didn't maybe quite get it at the time. And he's one of my mates, so you're not sure how serious these things are. Then luckily, he said, come fly over, Matt and John will meet you when you come see your parents in December. So I did, and I had a meeting with Matt and John when they don't have time to do that anymore, but I was very lucky. But I had a meeting with Matt and John, and Matt blew me away with the plan. Within 5 minutes, I'd already moved country in my head because I thought I'd bet on him.
And what was it? What was it that he was sort of pitching you at the time?
Nothing pitch. It was a vision that he had in his head, and in his head, it's like if I could see straight through him, it had already happened. Yeah. So I was like, well, it's comforting to know that actually he sees a way for it to be, you know, what he was telling me could be achieved. He wants to build like one of the biggest nutrition brands online. Online was the term.
Was the play
in the world? Yeah, because everyone was retail at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably more retail, sort of physical stores. Yeah. And then you were one of the first. You were the 7th person to join.
Well, I wasn't necessarily. I can't remember the numbers, but there wasn't many in the office at all. It was a tiny office in Northwich. I think we owned the building, which we still do today. I think customer service and a bunch of other services are still in it in Gadbrook Park in Northwich. So I'm going from the centre of Vienna to Northwich. Right. So
bit different. Bit of a contrast.
Very much so. Lifestyle change. Yeah, definitely. But I didn't go for that. I went because of what I felt like was going to be some form of mission that I was on, and like a re-education of something that I've never done before. I didn't know anything about e-com.
And you said you felt like you built one of the best health centres in Vienna at the time. Like, what sort of things did you do to
change the structure entirely? Because look, somehow I've created a bit of a sales nose for myself, maybe. And I'll tell you what, I'll go back to when I was in school then, because my mum was skint. My mum and dad got divorced when younger, right? I think I'm too deep on these podcasts or whatever, but they were skint. My mum can only give me so much money, and I had to get to school, get food, get to Moss Side to train from Earlham.
Yeah.
You know, if anybody knows Manchester, it's miles away.
Yeah, that is.
I get 3 buses to Moss Side to just train at night and then get back on a certain amount of money. So I don't know if this is going to be good to tell or not, but I used to get a certain guy every morning used to go into this corner shop for me, buy a pack of cigarettes. Yeah. I'd go to the top deck of the bus and sell every single one of them. Right. And I'd have 4 times the money by the time I got to school. Yeah. So somehow I found a way
to make money.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I wish I'd carried on that trait, because I probably won't be sat here now, or it'd be a totally different story. But that helped me, I suppose. That it built a little bit of character somewhere along the lines. And kind of where I go from there is ultimately.
Well, I was gonna ask, like, what did your parents do at the time?
My dad worked for Procter & Gamble, actually, in maintenance.
Yeah.
Mum had multiple jobs. I mean, you know, she was a single mum with 2 kids, 2 terrors. Right. And we were young at the time. My mum's a young mum. So she was doing a degree while holding 2 jobs at the same time as bringing us 2 up whilst having a mortgage. I don't know how she did it. It's the hardest thing.
Fair play, yeah.
More than I've ever achieved, anyway. So,
yeah.
You think about how difficult that is. Yeah. So anyway, so all that just shapes you to this point. And
did they have much influence in on what you were doing? Because I know
inadvertently, an inadvertent influence, not direct.
Right. Yeah.
Because neither of them said focus on school.
Yeah.
Wasn't like that household.
Be a good individual.
Just, yeah. But you know, in many ways, brought me up like I feel like I'm a decent guy. They brought me up quite well. I think I've done all right. But other than that, it was just you were left alone to find your own way. And then I was lucky. I found my own way. I had a good group of mates. And then after that, you know, when you grow up, you kind of separate from those mates you grew up with a little bit, because you either move away or you go a different direction. That's the way it is.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll come back to your question on Vienna and the sales aspect. Is that cigarette story is probably the reason why I've got a bit of a sales capability now, quite simply because within it, that health club in Vienna was based in somewhere called the Börserplatz, and Börserplatz in German is stock exchange. I took one day looking at this club and thought, why is it only making this amount of money when everyone coming in is either a UN ambassador or someone from, you know, who's selling stocks and shares all day long. It was making half the amount of money I thought it could be making. So I did something radical and I changed the entire sales structure entirely and changed the personal training structure, ripped out a load of equipment, made it more functional straight away. And I recruited different nationalities that spoke the language of everybody coming through the door to start with. Right. A very high caliber level of education within, whether it be wellness, nutrition, or just like functional fitness or whatever. Or a slightly different background. Some of them were gymnasts, some of them were martial arts, some were boxing, whatever. Just totally different disciplines. And then I changed the entire membership structure from, you know, kind of just a usual membership to everybody coming through the door had to take personal training. Right. Everyone.
Wasn't optional.
No, not at all. Before you know it, an average membership cost 1,500 quid rather than spending 150 pounds or euros at the time. Yeah. So you're just making so much more money. The membership base started to drop. Head office started to complain at me at first because it takes a little bit of rotation. Before you know it, you got less members, higher yield, more space, higher caliber, and then that was the model.
Yeah, and then that probably attracted the more people because of all the high caliber people using it.
Starved the membership, capped it, and then there was a waiting list. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so I started there, I guess. Do you know what I mean? And it was pretty late on. I moved to Vienna when I was 30. So I still had a big career before that, totally different to this, which was the fitness industry, as we mentioned before. Yeah. So that shaped me a bit for this. And then I thought, well, even if I don't know ecom, I knew the fitness industry, and that's the reason why I suppose the idea of Matt and the guys thought, well, I've got a lot of CEO numbers of every health club in the world. How quick can I get my protein to every health club? That was my first job. Boom, done within 3 months.
Went in as sales.
Just my protein. I was just like, my protein's the best brand in the world, and you need to be taking it, and you trust me, right? So there we go. And then whatever brands you got in, me in, do your deal, and off we went. And then we just built like an offline channel for my protein, which actually then becomes a catalyst for online. So I started with that, and then I moved very similarly through different stages of my career through TXG. I think the only job I've not done in TXG is finance.
Right.
Yeah. Every cat
covered
I think nearly. Yeah.
And like, it sounds like with the fitness center, like you obviously, have a great brain to be able to, destructure and restructure things. Like, was there ever like was there ever like a bit of a challenge, or where let's say you fucked up, where you were like, I'm not got it right?
We fucked up so many times.
Yeah.
Depends on what context you're talking about, really. And you know about work.
Yeah, like from like a strategy piece, because that just seemed like you had the Midas touch. Like you went in,
No,
you fixed it.
So in THG, we probably talk about the failures more than the successes.
Yeah.
Because if you think about when, I think it was roughly 2015, our CTO asked us a question: if I could build one thing for you from a technology perspective, what would it be? So we went away, literally, all came up with the exact same answers. How fast can we flip a website from English to German to Italian to Swedish, whatever? And that was the ask from the CTO. He came up with an idea called the franking machine,
Right.
which basically was the ability to be able to flip a website, translate it, and have relevant payment methods plugged in, etc., within the space of 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
And then we launched about 70 native websites in 2015. And from that, if you look at the trajectory of THG from that moment forwards, it was explosive. And that alone set us up perfectly for, call it, the issue that we all had, supply chain issue in COVID.
Right.
People were locked at home, but were shopping online. We were well equipped at that point.
Yeah. It's some journey.
Yeah.
And I guess like what would you say the direction is now? Like where do you see, because I know there was a demerger, right?
Yeah.
Between the Hook Group and Ingenuity. Like as a standalone now as Ingenuity, what's the direction look like now? Where do you see that going?
Different, right? Because I spent a decade in the nutrition division and then spent a bit of time supporting the operational enablements of the rest of the group at the time. So it's very different. We've got a brand, which is THG Ingenuity, fair enough, and you've got three pillars of it: commerce, marketing, and what we now name as THG Fulfill. But ultimately, the vision's completely different because you're now supporting brands with everything you've learned over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So all the mistakes that you refer to, which has been plenty, and in fairness, some of our presentations, some of the biggest brands is, here's all the mistakes we've made.
Yeah.
Because you're about to make the same ones. Yeah. So unless you are working with someone or businesses that can support you through that journey you're about to embark on, that we've probably already been on, then you're going to struggle. You're going to make the same errors. So some of the time we focus on that. And then we focus on this is the deliverables to get to kind of where you want to get.
What top 3 errors that normal brands make if they're
underestimating it depends what the type of category is. So again, in nutrition, it's consumable.
Yeah.
So people are putting this in the mouth and actually ingesting it. Right. So the difficulty is the regulatory nature of moving a product from one country to the next. Yeah. You'd be surprised at the labelling compliance. Regulation compliance and just the approvals you need to get to sell a product domestically. And cross-border now, as you know, I think it was even yesterday, I think the £135 de minimis is changing in the UK from Europe to UK. Yeah. That's going to impact a load of European brands coming into the UK. Before you know it, they're going to need domestic fulfillment. But are they set up from a regulatory perspective to actually do it domestically? Do you need an entity? What about tax? What about duty? Well, everything. It's a really
the risk is it just gets held at the border and then it knocks onto customer experience. Yeah.
So in your question, it just depends on the category. Do you know what I mean? But underestimating, sometimes not being aggressive enough. Yeah. So one thing we were very good at is we ran into the fire, because we just thought it was the right thing for us to do at the time. So in 2019, the warehouse that I think you've seen, we'll have a walk around later. That warehouse there, we decided on the form of automation we want to put in it. At that time, it was AutoStore. Then COVID hit. Then everyone's like, wow. The whole world seemed to be collapsing, and everyone's like, well, I'm going to pause my investments because I don't know what's coming next. We went, we're doing it, and it's going to be done within a certain time frame. And then obviously in 2021, we're moving in, and it's a 300,000 bin AutoStore, and you're moving 11 million units from one warehouse to the next. You look at the growth of THG between 2019 and 2021, it went from 1.1 billion to 2.2 billion. It doubled in 2 years. Yeah. Because we made those aggressive, forward-thinking decisions. We weren't held back by any form of negativity. We're always cautious, but our business is run by accountants, right? It's all maths. Right. Will it pay off? Or what is the expected ROI? Luckily, that investment in there paid off in 18 months for us. So Yeah, and that was roughly a £24 million investment that needed to be capex at the time.
And when you're running into that kind of investment, like, because I know you framed it as like we just ran into the fire. Like, was there expectation where, like, similar to there might be a drop, and then what was the expectation in terms of risk or?
Well, the risk was at that time is labour's only getting more expensive. So all you're going to do eventually is pass that problem onto the consumer.
Yeah.
And when you're building brands, like we have been riddled with, in our DNA, we're riddled with retailer DNA.
Yeah.
Everything we've ever done has been about the end consumer. So every decision we've ever made has been about those guys and girls buying from us, simple as that. And what experience they get, and can we change and augment services for more valuable customers and stuff.
Yeah.
That is the DNA. So when we're talking about the things that could go badly, we're always calculative of that.
Yeah.
But we put ourselves under pressure to make sure it just doesn't happen. And we have problems every single day. We just do. Some of the buildings look great from the facade of THG is so shiny.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, it's like a swan, right? It looks good on the lake, but the legs are kicking like mad underneath.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about AI. We've got loads of it, but we still do loads of stuff on Excel. We'd be lying if we said we didn't. Of course we do. It still exists.
It blows my mind that. You think some of these size organisations, talk about £1 billion, and then you're using something like almost as simple as an Excel.
Yeah, we still do, but obviously we're fastly eradicating what we used to do and creating new workflows for team members. But ultimately, kind of back to your question, it was things like labour. Labour inflation's it's gone at what, 44% in the last 5 years. So if you haven't automated, you've either suppressed your gross profit per unit that you're selling, or you've got to pass it on to the consumer, and then you're losing market share, whichever is painful. It's horrible.
And it's been quite unpredictable, the market, especially like with cross-border and everything like that. What sort of areas are you investing in now? Like, what would you say your biggest, next big run into the fire, say, play might be?
Well, there's two pillars to the fulfill product of Ingenuity. So you've got the automated side, where we arguably now create and develop automated solutions along with the enabling works for other brands.
Yeah. So
the most recent one I can probably say on this podcast is Foot Asylum. So fashion brand wanted to automate for all the same reasons we did. They saw us as very unique in a sense, because we obviously built our automation, or bought our automation and built our software for our automation ourselves through retailers' eyes. Because when you buy these things, there's no playbook of how to properly use it. There's some form of turn it on, and this is what you presented on screen, a bit of training. But then when you start getting into it, we're like, well, why is bin presentations 21 seconds?
Yeah.
Why can't it be half of that? But why? And no one could tell us the why, because it wasn't our software and we couldn't get into the data to see it. So the minute we launched the AutoStore, we realised very quickly that we were paralysed because of the software. And we did this back in 2016 as well, where we built a 1 million square foot warehouse ourselves after doing it in other spaces manually. Built that warehouse. We thought we had control. We've got the hardware, but someone's wrapped a clenched fist around your heart because it's somebody else's warehouse management system.
Yeah.
So if you want to change anything, or adapt anything, change your workflow, you're sat in a queue, you're paying a fortune, and we're just like, right, we're a technology business, we're going to build that. So we'll rip that out, build our own, migrate across, which is again one of the most challenging things to do. So your question before, one of the biggest risks we have had is having a 1 million square foot warehouse doing full distribution for the globe, internationally and domestically from one warehouse, while stripping out your warehouse management system at the same time. That was dicey. And there was errors and there was issues, there was downtime. Not for long, you're talking a couple of hours a day or whatever, but then you start tweaking the software for it to work. Went off track there in terms of you.
No, it's fair. And I know there'll be people from like say the 3PL space, they'll be listening and watching, and they might be operating, WMS, slightly clunky, I think. What would would your advice, do you feel there's definitely a place for that, or do you feel like everyone needs to be shifting into this more tech first?
Each to their own. I think there's good partners to work with, like we believe we're one of them. Our advice is if you've got the capability to do it yourself, do it yourself.
Yeah.
But
make
we've
that
got the
investment.
capability to do it, right? We've spent a lot of money building what we've done for the 21 years, 22 years. It'll take a long time for people to to build that knowledge and that capability to the point where we're at today. Even leverage, right? Even the UK market, we've got what, 35 million shipments a year. So it's massive leverage. So I can take, if people want to come into our network and we've got space and you're within our ideal client profile and you want to be asset light, then I'll take cost out of your fulfillment, no doubt, and I'll take cost out of your couriers, no doubt, and then elevate your service to 1 o'clock in the morning and shave some courier cost off. And then you become a 3PL. But one of the things that me and Liz are looking at the moment is 2 years ago, that idea of becoming a 3PL was just a 2 a.m. idea. And I'll venture into this very quickly, but it was something that we thought of really late at night, a couple of us, and said, now we've got capability and we're pretty good at this. Why aren't we selling it to others? And this is when we were not demerged, it was still THG, and it was just an idea, but this area of the business sat in Ingenuity at the time. But it was a forgotten about product. It was what I used to call the afterthought. Everyone used to run e-com, and I did. When I ran e-com for the nutrition division, never once did I think about how that parcel was getting to the customer. I didn't, because the sales DNA in me was just like, get it there. Your job's just to get it there. I'm doing the sales, but I'm doing the hard bit. Actually, the hard bit is that, and very quickly you start realising it, because you've got a compound annual growth rate of 60% year on year on year for my protein. It's just growing like mad. And then your EBITDA absolute numbers growing, but your EBITDA percentage is shrinking because of the geographical nature of where you're sending your parcel to is getting more expensive. So I'm sending a parcel from UK to Wrexham in the same box also. I'm sending it from UK to Japan. And Japan's growing faster than other areas of the world. Now Japan, for my protein, is the second biggest country in the world, right? So, and you're like, well, how do I solve that? I need to geographically get closer to the customer. How do I do it with all the things I already mentioned before? Regulatory, tax, duties. Do I need a bonded warehouse? What is a bonded warehouse? We didn't know what it was at the time. We've never had one, right? So, so you're going through all these thought processes and thinking, how do I enable? How do I enable? How do I enable? So I moved from sales to enablement. And now my life is just problem solving. So.
And enablement, does that sort of sit between ops and sales?
Totally. They're one and the same.
If
anyone says they don't work in ops, they're lying. If anyone says they don't work in sales, they're lying. They have to. They have to think holistically in a business. So if you're a small brand owner, you'll think like that organically, because it's your business, right? The customer's the most important, valuable asset, and lead generation is the most valuable asset. The customer doesn't care about anything else in between that whatsoever. They care about getting your product and it being a great product, and if you want it to be a repeat purchase type of consumption as well. So if you're a small business owner, you get it straight away. But if you're a graduate coming into THG, you won't get it straight away. Your job is HR, or your job is, might be fulfillment or picking, packing. But there's a sales element to every aspect of this business specifically, and that's how we try and gear everybody. How do you make money from it? Really? Let's be honest, it is about that. It's about providing an exceptional service, but how do you make money from it?
No, it makes me laugh, because sometimes in my world, if you get into it with clients, if there are issues, i.e. sales and then the delivery, you've got to have them hard conversations, I guess, with customers. And
well, there's loads of friction, loads of it. I mean, e-com forecasting is a nightmare. Whenever it's brought up in the operational world, and I meet other supply chain experts in different businesses or C-suites, and I ask what their forecasting is like, immediately there's laughter. Because it's just erratic, and the social element of sales, and you're looking at the things like TikTok and the marketplaces, and it's explosive. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to sell next. We've got a great client, P. Louise, for instance, and if anybody knows what she's like, she changes her mind live on a TikTok stream. And there's no denying it. It's an amazing sales weapon. But then you've still got to deal with the operational enablement.
There's the back end of it all.
Have you got the flex? Have you got the capability, or do you need to drag in 200 people to be able to do it? Or can you do it in an automated fashion that doesn't require that, and you can still flex to the degree of number?
Keeps it fun, probably, for some people.
But it's the best problem to have. It is. But you do need a holistic approach to it, otherwise you are going to fail customers, and at some point, statistically, if you do, they don't come back. It's
just funny, because I know you started it off with I got punched in the nose at primary school. I use it all the time. I'm like, look, we're going to be best mates after this. We'll have a bit of a fight professionally, and then I'm sure we'll be best mates. But I always take it back to, because that happened to me. But
it's a partnership. When you're working with the clients that we've got, we like to think that it's a partnership. So they're not perfect, we're not perfect. We're good at what they do, they're good at what they do, and you've got to meet in the middle, because we're an extension of their team.
Yeah.
You've got to integrate as that.
Yeah.
And if you don't, and it becomes transactional, then you'll turn clients, and some clients are very easy to manage, right? That have a load of volume, but some of them are a lot more needy who have less volume, because again, the different dynamic is it might be an entrepreneur business owner who cares about every single aspect of their brand, and you've got to respect it, because we did that.
Yeah.
I see through their eyes.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned, THG is like this really shiny on the outside type brand and business, but then like what would you say has been the toughest decision, or one of the toughest decisions you've had to make that's, from a leadership perspective?
Toughest decision. It's thrown me, really, that question, because there's so many tough decisions every day, really, but I'm trying to find one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And where to put it. Yeah.
One. I can't pick one. There's one every day.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to end up with 10.
If it's relative to business success, people.
Yeah.
The one dynamic is people's emotions, and sometimes I guess you have to make tough decisions on structures and things like that. And as the business has grown from few to many, I mean, look, during COVID we had 10,000 people in THG, so managing people became really difficult. We argue to say there's an element you lose your culture ever so slightly because of the small business DNA, all us being in one room, like an army, us against the world. That's what it was like. And then when you expand within 2 years to that size, it's difficult to manage. So the biggest decisions and the most difficult decisions are always relative to people, because arguably we make big decisions within the business, but the people arguably drive the business. So you've got to make the right structural changes, and you've got to have the right people and the right characters in the right position. So sometimes the most difficult decisions and the most difficult situations is dealing with people. Got to keep them motivated, but at the same time, you've got to make sure you've got your generals in the right places and your soldiers in the right places.
And what going back to the things you look for in terms of character and stuff, what sort of DNA is it that you think defines a good THG hire?
I'll go right back to something John said to me when I went in my interview, the first one, and he said, Tommy, we don't like egos in THG. To this point, we don't. We just don't. But we're aggressive in what we do. We're very motivated in what we do. And what I try and find out from people is ultimately a bit like the background chat we had before. It's just what shapes someone. Do you know what I mean? How do I know when the going gets tough? Because it will.
They can handle it.
What type of reaction am I going to see from certain people? And is it going to be a positive one? Or are those the type of characters that actually step back when the going gets tough? Because THG's gone on its trajectory since 2013 when I've joined. But the business was formed in 2004, right? There's been trials and tribulations and successes prior to that. But ultimately, as we go on from this moment forwards, what type of characters do we have in the building? Or what type of talent do we have in the building? The average age, I think, is like 26, 27.
Young,
so I'm a dinosaur now.
I remember it was always like, you'd see these like really young MDs pop up into industry and super artists.
And we've probably been a bit famous for that. So in very senior positions, we've actually placed youth ahead of recruiting externally. Quite simply because, again, we're a technology platform. Someone coming in to understand it takes a long time. One, to get used to our culture. Two, to get used to what we've built and why we've built it. So actually, we've organically grown the best people, in my opinion, that are at THG in some ways. I don't know what the longevity is now, but the longevity over plus 10 years must be hundreds and hundreds of people. So it must be a decent place to work if that's the case. But it works for some and works for others. Simple as that.
No, I remember speaking to one of the he was a sales director at DHL at the time, and it was probably going back like maybe 8 years ago, and he was like, we want like young but hungry people in the business, because you know, and it, we even related it to dress code in a way, because I guess 8 years ago it was probably still a little bit, you know, professional wear and, you know, make sure you shirt, you know, jacket if you're going to go out on sales meetings. But selling into e-com, he was like, I flipped it, because I was sat in a meeting room with Ben Francis, and he was, you know, best part of 20, 21, 22 or something. And I'm there in a full, you know, there was about 12 of us, all suited and booted. And there was him with a, you know, almost with a backpack on and a hoodie. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, we probably need to shape.
We get that a lot when people come see us. Sometimes they're suited and booted still. You know, that still exists. But we're all, well, we like to think we're relatively dressed smart, but some days you can catch you on a dress down day. Yeah. You know, and you're meeting some important people or whatever. And you know, but when you look at the head office and you see kind of the environment we've built, that's the environment. Yeah. Be comfortable, but do a great job.
Yeah. And are you guys very much like pro office or work from home or hybrid?
No, we obviously we're an international business, so it can't always be work from home. We have salespeople all over the world, and I've got facilities all over the world, etc. So we encourage office working, definitely. Just simply because of the knowledge that you retain. You're around conversations, high-level conversations, mid-level conversations, sideways conversations that happen at the end of a desk. Doesn't happen at home. Me personally, I'm from the era of getting the office, and that's where the action is. So that's my DNA. But I appreciate there's different opinions on that now. But yeah, we're pro office for sure. Quite simply, just because we want people around, and it's the best way to learn,
build a culture.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't have an army sat at home. It doesn't work. You know, when you've got to go to war, you know, need to know what the tactics are, right? But for those who can't be in the office because they are remote, like in the US, it's so vast. We've got people at home all over the place. You've got to find a way of making sure you're maintaining communication, maintaining the strategy, make sure they're feeling as involved as everybody else. That's a little bit more difficult, but it's a digital world. It ain't difficult. I mean, I speak to people on Teams or on calls, FaceTime all day long. So I've got some of my trusted lieutenants aren't even in this country. And they've worked for me for years, but they have worked at head office maybe 5 years prior. So they're fully trusted. Some are in Singapore, some are in Germany.
Strong pillars.
They're just, I trust them. They know exactly what they're doing, and they are very good at what they do. So I'd rather retain that talent than lose it.
It's interesting because I know you've played, like, you know, you've been big into e-sport, you're still big into e-sport. Like, is there anything in the sport that you've taken into leadership? Was there anything that you've, like...
Competitiveness, you know, I just, me personally, I just want to win every football match that you play. And, you know, the game I'm playing now is THG Fulfill and growing that specifically. As much as I'm the CEO of Ingenuity, the tip of the spear for us at the moment, and the product that's growing the fastest than anything else, is THG Fulfill. So for me, that's a footy match, and I've always said, I'm a massive United fan, but THG has been my Man United for 13 years. And I treat it as if it's my Man United.
Kiss the badge.
Yeah, absolutely it is. It's riddled in my DNA now, but at the same time, I've got a very outward-looking view. I don't just want us to be introverts. We were introverts when we were growing our own brands. We didn't want anybody to know what our platform capabilities were. It was our secret. And now what we're saying is Ingenuity is no longer a secret. And we're telling the world what attributes it's got, and everybody can use it now. You know, so why go through the pain of building everything we've already built? And it's our job to productize it, explain it, and then build like another THG business to the side of the one we've already built. Which is ultimately the platform versus the retailer.
Well, it'd be good to go and have a look in the warehouse, do a bit of the concrete.
So
that's cool with you. Let's do it.
All good.
In a minute then.
Just build, we call this Icon 2. It's probably the highest output facility we have in the world of 13 of them. Probably does about 42% of our global volume, this facility.
Wow.
Through different forms of automation. So you've got about a 450,000 square foot warehouse. With the mezzanine, call it 750,000 square foot. And then you've got, I don't know if it's the third biggest auto store in the world anymore, it doesn't really matter. But it's got a 300,000 bin auto store, 1.2 million locations, 440 robots. with a Libiao T-sorter attached to that, which helps us with different batching algorithms, etc. when you have sincere volume. And this has all been built now to achieve about 625 to 650,000 units a day out of this facility, both retail and D2C.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Go back to joining My Protein. Are they the kind of numbers you'd like have expected? Or?
No, I mean, I cannot, honestly, think about them days. I mean, some of our old warehouses, I mean, manufacturing was just a little small room, right?
Yeah.
Now you've got probably one of the world's best manufacturing facilities for nutrition in the world. But back then it was inside the warehouse and it was very, very manual. And we had no automation whatsoever, other than maybe some clever conveyance. Pretty much it. We did a bit of automation in the other warehouse, which we call Amiga, down the road. It's a 1 million square foot facility. That was that site I was referring to before. We put a like a crane system in there and some automated sortation. But for many years, that was just manual fulfillment. It was just tons of labour. And that was the way it was at the time. And all it was then, it was just about motivating people, augmenting workflows physically, and just trying to get volume out of the door as fast as you can.
And how long's the auto store been?
This is probably 5 years has been in.
5 years. So you put it in, I guess, that sort of COVID era, was it?
Yes. So 2021.
Yeah.
We're still putting conveyor belts in 1 week before Black Friday, believe it or not. It was, we've been through some tetchy times, and that was one. And then we had to move the entirety of the beauty division into here at the same time. So obviously it's on our technology platform. So we're load balancing customer promise, minimising split shipments, and having order allocation logic run across the two, because you've got SKUs in one warehouse, SKUs in another. And what you don't want to do is split an order to a customer and have double the postage cost and have a customer, I suppose, contact you saying, where's my other part of my order? That's the difficult bit.
I like couriers going to different sites.
Obviously, because it's our platform, you squash the split shipments next to nothing. And you're moving strategic units and SKUs into one facility to load balance what orders go out of each facility while you migrate the whole thing in. We moved about 11 million units in within 4 weeks. Believe it or not, that auto store was built in 3 months. It wasn't that? Yeah, I mean, building an auto store is actually like adult Lego. It's really simple. It's the enabling stuff around it. It's the sprinklers, it's the flooring, it's the preparation work, which takes the time.
And how long do you have to give it before you decide, right, that's stress tested now, we're confident to roll it out to customers?
First this one was built for us. It was internally built, this one, wasn't it? So this was internally built. So we'll test it for 2 or 3 weeks. We'll obviously pull customer orders out of it until we get used to the software and how it works. At the time, it was an integrator that we had. And now obviously we built our own warehouse control system to run all robotics for us. So we control that software. But ultimately, maybe 2 weeks testing, but you're in a live environment while you're testing as well. So about 2 weeks of testing. Other than that, off you go.
I feel like I'm seeing you more in this operational, set of lenses. And how much of your time is split in terms of ops and then getting involved in the commercial side of the business or enablement? What would you split it?
Probably 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah, it is, because obviously we're obviously selling the product now as well, right? I'm kind of spearheading the fulfill division, if that makes sense. So we've got Darren does a great job Darren is our CRO, for instance, across all 3 verticals of Ingenuity. So I kind of sanction off sales there, but we work hand in hand because this is a specific discipline, and the way you sell this is via engineering. You don't sell this via general sales BD teams. It's to sell automation or to sell a solution within your own network. It's technical. It's an exceptionally technical sell.
So who are you selling into? What title would you sell into if you were going to go to?
So obviously, the people who sign this off is normally CFO, CEO, of course. But then you're working with, head of supply chain or director of supply chain, COOs, etc. The engineers,
the people
the guys and girls who understand how a solution is built up from the bottom. So if they're going to take a leap of faith and hand us their fulfillment, they need to know and trust that we've got it covered. So they'll do all the due diligence there, and we'll obviously build them workflows to demonstrate how we'll actually perform for them. And we do that across hundreds of brands now, right, with a 1 a.m. next day delivery cut-off time. So we can easily demonstrate that. The more technical sell is now when we're selling a Libya or a Geek Plus or an AutoStore into their own warehouses. Because sometimes it's their first ever purchase of automation. So the level of nervousness is at level 100, And then you got to chip away at that to help them understand. But you're going to mitigate labour inflation on an ongoing basis. Your throughput can be higher. You condense in the space. You don't need another building. You know, for that AutoStore there, God knows how big this warehouse would need to be for the amount of SKUs and units that are in that. You know, there's millions and millions of SKUs in there, units in there. You just need to be 4 times the size. So, you know, so ultimately, you know, yeah.
And like, what would you say is like the perfect sort of size to get started with an auto store?
It depends on the size of the business, right? So Footer Island, they wanted all their kind of e-com and other stuff into this, and they got other plans for the rest of it and retail fulfillment. Well, they've gone for 90,000 bins straight away. We went for 300,000 bins straight away. The good thing about AutoStore though is it's modular. So it's a bit like, again, it's adult Lego. I can extend this very, very easily. We put 14 more ports on this side, for instance, last year to enable Libya robotics. And we also discussed whether we remove this mezzanine to put a Geekbus SkyCube here, which will put all pallet racking into one place, automated, and auto feed the AutoStore. So I have bulk racking. I can take loads of units out of that, empty half of it and sit on less cover level. I can put more clients in that if I wanted to and replenish it from pallet. So there's loads of different ways to now we've learned it over the last 5 years, you can understand like the different ways we can actually make it even more efficient than what we've currently got it today. We've bled that system. That's the highest DTC output system in the world for AutoStore.
Is it?
Yeah, and there's no AutoStore on the planet that gets more units out of it per day than that. It's 12,000 bin presentations a day. And it does, so it's a lot.
And who's making you, you know, when you're like restructuring these sites, like who are you working with to help make them decisions?
Yeah, so our own engineers, some of them are geared to find daily efficiencies. Other engineers are there to provide solutions to external clients. Or they're one and the same team, so they're learning from each other.
And let's say you go in and install an AutoStore into a customer site. Do you have like engineers that will be almost on site whilst it's all?
They're dedicated to them.
Dedicated.
So there's 2 dedicated to Footer Island, for instance. We do all their maintenance and repairs. They don't do their maintenance themselves. We do it for them. So there's obviously a service level contract with that, and obviously they're using our software. So on an ongoing basis, you know, whether it be monthly or QBRs or whatever, we'll be informing them of the regular updates we're making into our software. So we make about 11 augmentations to our software per day. It's a lot, loads. It's an obsession because I think I said before, bin presentation time when we first got the AutoStore was 21 seconds. Now it's 4.4 seconds. The exam question always is how do I get the same number of units out with half of the bin presentations? You know, so that is then simulation. So we built a load of. Again, I don't like using the term personally. I feel cringeworthy using it, but it is a buzzword at the moment. But you do use machine learning AI to simulate. So at the moment, we've got all our data for finance and ops in a cloud and built an agent underneath it, and I can just simply ask it questions. My dream in the future is just to have a tablet.
Are you the one asking the questions?
Me or anyone. I can do that. So we're obviously simulating Black Friday and Singles Day, which is November, in like April this year. Simulating what we did last year, how can we change our batching algorithms, what type of strategies do we want? How much of the output do we want pick to order? How much do we want to pick to batch? This Libya robotics system here now allows us to batch 3,000 orders at once. There's 3,800 order locations within those fingers you see there. And then, but prior to that, the year before, we could only batch 43 orders at once via AutoStore by doing a completely separate mechanism, which is pulling it out into trolleys, rebinning it and packing it out. It's a more expensive process. So by putting this in,
you've got the sort of human labour attached to that.
Totally, look, I mean, again, I come back to it. The human labour aspect is getting more and more expensive, and you're forced to automate. You know, if labour inflation was not as aggressive as it has been over the last 5 years, I would imagine maybe even us would have stepped back a little bit and done this slightly slower. It's been led by labour inflation.
And I suppose, like that, do you feel like there's going to be more growth in the UK? Or are you more looking like offshore, you know, setting up?
US is a big priority for us. So we've got facilities all over in India, in Singapore, Poland, whatever. But the size of the prize for our type of business is America.
So economy of scale is just massive.
It's huge. I mean, look, our proposition is not just fulfillment; it's also courier management with the CMS that we've actually got, which is soon to be a SaaS product. in certain countries in America, we've got sincere volume over there from a courier perspective, the same here. So again, if customers and brands wanted to come into our network and become asset light, we don't just give them the fulfillment solution, we give them the courier solution, we give them a freight solution, we can give them a post-customer comms solution. But if they want to do it all themselves, again, I come back to it, we just design what you want. But what we do is we understand your full supply chain. When we were sold this, no one asked us how you're going to be putting products in it. I mean, you learn that accidentally as you go, which is a fucking nightmare, really. You're filling your AutoStore before you know it. Beauty products, batch and expiry. You can't put them in the same location, so you'll just swell in terms of space if you don't get purchasing right. So you're looking at your buying site. So when we're doing an analysis with people about what they want from an output perspective for any form of automation, we're trying to understand is what's your current behavior, right from the buying cycle all the way to what service do you want to give your end consumer, whether it could be an end supplier, like futsal retailers to whoever they sell it to, and then obviously the end consumer if it's D2C.
And has there been times where you've had to say to a customer, look, like your front end's not right yet?
All the time.
To be able to.
I mean, look, we're quite friendly. We're integrating a load of 3PLs, right? We use some 3PLs around the world. We had one of them here yesterday who built himself an AutoStore for the secondary market. And actually came in and said, look, do you mind just showing us a few tricks of the trade? Did yesterday. And he said, look, I've learned more from you guys in the space of an hour than I have done by having my own AutoStore with myself, with my own team for over a year. Because we 5 years of bleeding the system. So we can't tell them everything.
You can almost just be quite surgical with it.
But look, I mean, at the end of the day, we're good at this now. And we feel like we've got a place. We don't need to dominate. I just think we can actually provide people with control. They take control. That's what we wanted. When we built RWMS, I mentioned before, when we ventured into this, we wanted control. Some brands want control. We can provide control in a different commercialized way now as well. So we bought that cash, right? 24 million quid. Luckily, it paid off in 18 months. However, now, brand, there's a lower barriers to entry. There's robots as a service mechanism with Geek, Libio, and AutoStore, where ultimately you're only paying capex for elements of it. So for AutoStore, for instance, your capex is just your robots and your ports. Even the grid, the robots as a service is your robots as your ports. The grid can be capex, and your sprinklers in your floor if you need it is capex. So the initial outlay is so much less than what it used to be to get going.
And the whole thing of being able to go and input it into customers, is that I guess, is that going to be the dominant go-to-market strategy?
For us, for me, I think that's our primary focus, because I generally come back to it. I think when you've spent 5 years understanding the system to the degree we have, and this site, by the way, is what's called a red site. It's the only one in Europe where AutoStore do all of their R&D in this facility, and the only others really they've got are spaced out. Most of them are in Norway, where they originate from. But because we're so obsessed with the data metrics coming out of this AutoStore, they work with us and nominated it as a red site. So if they have new initiatives or new equipment that they want to launch, they do it here.
Wow!
Because they want our scrutiny. If that makes sense.
To set a sort of standard to it.
Would we buy it? The thing, are we bought into it, and can we help them understand what is the next evolution of that product? That's kind of where we're at now.
Because I was going to say, that kind of purchase, this big ticket, 24 mil, like how long of a shelf life has that got before you are upgrading?
So it depends on your strategy. So for instance, we run the robots at 47% charging, because we get a higher level of battery life from that. But I know some other users of AutoStore have a different strategy, like 27% or whatever. But you got to change your battery more often if you do that. Maybe that's just to the number of robots you get or the way you run your system. So longevity's, roughly 10 years.
Okay.
And then you change, you're changing out. But as you go, you've got planned preventative maintenance. You're understanding the life cycle of every single robot, every part from a robot. The grid from time to time might need just adjusting, smaller things, fabric.
Nip and tuck.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this facility is 21 hours, because the other 3 were just doing.
I love that I've just said nip and tucks, but it'll be equivalent of hundreds of thousands, probably millions. But
you're right.
It's big. I mean, it looks like something out of a Pixar movie, to be fair. When you look at it physically, and then I guess on the Libbies, their whole piece is that's to get it into.
No, that's coming out. So
That's coming out.
Yeah. So what you're doing again, your ingesters on one side, and you've got two ports in the middle which pull units out into. And we've got two strategies. During today, we'll do 200,000 units today, easy, without breaking a sweat, and that would be pick to order, directly from a port into a box, label onto a conveyor, straight onto automated sortation. Done. That we can do up to say 275,000 units a day doing pick to order. And then when it bridges, or we have a client that has a high unit per order, we'll flick this equipment on, because we can batch the orders differently.
Right.
So I can batch 3,000 orders at once through here, and I can just pull these layers of orders and trays on, and then ultimately I can pull it all out with a batch algorithm. Simple. And just exhausting bins, putting a single unit onto a Libya robot, goes into a shelf. Each shelf is an order. And I can do that at a fraction of the cost. Yeah. So this is now an overflow, because this warehouse runs at about 40% capacity. BAU, quite simply because we've built everything for the moments that matter, which is Black Friday peak. If you can't deliver around that time.
So you're leaving that gap
Even when you're looking at occupancy and space in some of where your storage is in your automation, whether it be Geek plus AMRs, you've got to look and see how much is my inventory going to flex to be able to store it in that form of automation before then obviously it's going to get depleted afterwards.
And how long did it take to build this auto store?
It wasn't long, like 2-3 months.
Was it?
Yeah, not long at all.
Because then I'm just thinking of peak is in terms of being able to scale it up or down during those periods.
So it's a good question. So again, we learned loads of things, right? We had to buy all our robots at the time, and now there's robots as a service. There's booster bots. It's called booster bots. So now if you're flexing, our flex is probably X7 in terms of volume, then you'll need more robots to be able to do the lot of digging and pulling some bins around. But you don't now need to go and buy 30, 40, 100 more robots. You can lease them from AutoStore and give them back over the course of 3 months. It's miles better than what it was before. Because again, you're sat on dormant capacity and a dormant investment for 51 weeks a year. Does it make sense? So the dynamic and I suppose the commercial nature of most automation providers now has changed, but we're the only one with robots as a service directly with AutoStore.
Right. Yeah. And how many people are involved in running the AutoStore in terms of an operational piece? Because I know
depends. It's a ratio of volume.
Do you
know what I mean? So it's a ratio of volume. We only run say 2 shifts in here, 120 people per shift. And you're doing sincere volume per day. Depends whether you've got a kitting function on, because that can be at the moment labour intensive. A little bit of inbounds, a little bit labour intensive. Some clients want us to manhandle products and count every single unit before it goes in. That at the moment still takes labour. But then obviously you've got sortation. So it's a very thin. I suppose the best way of me putting it is over the last 5 years we've reduced distribution costs as a percentage of sale by 5%.
Right.
And if you monetize that over the course of each year, we've saved £100 million a year. So it's for £500 million in savings as a result of plugging in automation, stripping out the labour that has been wiped out as a result of automation. But at the same time, the optimization of automation, meaning the software algorithms, the changes that we've made, the workflow improvements, the bin presentations going from 21 seconds to 4, and all the human handling time going from 26 seconds down to what is now probably 13, 11 seconds. It's a Formula One race. I've changed my tyres 21 seconds in 2021, and now I'm changing my tyres in 4 seconds. So now the obligation is to try and find and do it in 3.5 seconds or change the process entirely. And you can still bleed the system. It's just there's seconds everywhere. It's a bit like the Al Pacino speech on any given Sunday, but for automation.
Well, I was going to say, I think you might be a robot, like the numbers and data.
I forget a lot, to be honest. I forget a lot. But
no, it's impressive. I think, and going back to it all, at what point, what you personally set out here to achieve in terms of what's your next milestone that you think, do you know what, I think if I reach this certain point or I hit this milestone,
my personal milestone, because I was within the nutrition division for so long, is to turn the fulfill business into a bigger business than the nutrition division. That's just my own personal goal, just internally, and I clearly want my protein nutrition to grow alongside it. But that's just mine, because I was associated with building one amazing business within TSG, and I'm associated with building another. And Matt's only going to be happy, right, if we go and build another one of them. So it's great. my personal objective is to do that. But really, the objective is to be a major player within the SaaS-based operational services business in the UK and America, maybe Europe, depends how far we go into it, and also at the same time become the world's biggest integrator of AutoStore, Libiao, and Geek Plus. That's our genuine obsession. We think we can be number one for all three disciplines, and not only that, we probably won't hold ourselves to just three. There are loads of other automation providers out there. As soon as we think one is suitable for a solution, then we'll start working with them. So that's it really.
It's not bad for a cleaner starting in a...
It was some kid who got punched in the nose.
Kid who got punched in the nose.
Kid who got gone find him. Beat him up now though.
Well, should we go and take a look at the downstairs and the floor?
So in our network now, we've got more robots than humans. It's just the way it's evolved. I mentioned before about labour inflation, but a lot of it's about augmenting services. So an example of that would be, over the last 12 months, we upgraded 10 million customers to next day delivery when they didn't expect it. So what that means is I've ordered standard delivery on the website, and I'm expecting 3-day delivery, and we don't communicate it. We have another 10 million who didn't get upgraded. So when they've been delivered, and over time, we've looked at 30, 60, 90 and 365-day analysis of the customer cohorts. What you found is the customers who were upgraded were worth 4% more in retention value, and their subsequent purchase is worth about 11% more. So they're spending more and returning.
Average order value's gone up.
So again, I flip back to my commerce days. I didn't think like that whatsoever, but now I've proved it with data that actually operations is significantly important to retention of your customers. It basically just tells you within the data. And I don't know, there's no 3PL that I work with or 3PL that I know of that can speak that language. The reason why we can is we've just built billion-dollar businesses building everything that you've just seen. And we've just been obsessed with the end consumer.
And then since that, I guess, did you consciously then go and upgrade customers?
No, then after that, we tactically started upgrading. So then you start looking at, all right, so who are your most valuable customers? If you're going to label these customers VIPs, what treatment do you want to give them without them knowing? And then, the beauty division or the nutrition division will then come up with concepts like, I don't know what they call it. It's just like a delivery scheme. You pay a tenner and you get next day delivery infinitely for the period of the year, so they saw the value in that, and they were pushing next day delivery and pushing late night cut-off. 27% of all our next day deliveries come after 10 p.m. 27%, but the average in the UK is nowhere near 10 p.m. It's way below it. So you're not owning the nighttime shopping. You've got to dominate every service space for a customer to want to choose you, because marketplaces now sell nearly every product. So Amazon's taught us all, right? Speed is a currency. But also choice is a currency. Lockers is now a currency, and all the other mechanisms out at home. So all different mechanisms. My niece wants an order yesterday. I'm all right getting it in 2 days. That's the way I've been brought up. But the new generation, they want it now. There's a need for now.
And what's it? Has there been much like turbulence with when you put AI, automation, robotics into a site like this? Has there been much turbulence with your courier partners, the people that are obviously plugging in to pick it up and,
they love it.
And deliver?
I mean, look, we're strategic partners with all of them, right? The biggest, as you would imagine, in this country, and the same in other countries. But for instance, Royal Mail, we're running a scheme at the moment at Royal Mail where we're putting willets inside parcels. So at the moment, you get about 7 scanning events for Royal Mail, right? But imagine if I could expose 150 different scanning events, and if one of my clients who's using our operational services wants to know where their order is, they can self-serve themselves on the THC Fulfill portal and actually know that if there's a truck broke down on the M52, that order's in that van. They don't need to contact us anymore. They know. They might contact us to see what we're doing about it with the relevant courier, of course, but we're trying to provide not too many insights, but the right insights. So because, again,
the ones they stop worrying about.
Exactly. So if something is late, self-serve yourself to find the solution. That'd be from a client perspective, but then we maybe speak to the end consumer differently as well, and actually say, we've actually had an occurrence here, your truck's actually broke that. However you want to communicate in your tone of voice, we can do that as well. As long as you understand all of that data, you can choose to use it as you wish. So we're just trying to understand the data points first before we start to strategically understand how we use it with clients or how we use it with end consumers.
Interesting. I guess from then, like a people's perspective, I think you mentioned earlier, it's like 4,800 as part of.
Well, the total group is, but you talk, the operational fulfillment centre is still filled with people, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of people on each shift, of course, across the globe, and they're absolutely critical. I feel like, well, I know that the data points now tell me that attrition is better than it's ever been before.
Oh, right.
You've taken the meaningless tasks, the more tedious stuff away.
Yeah.
As automation's replaced that.
Yeah.
What you've got is now higher paid, better, more satisfied employees as a result of it.
Yeah.
And also, we still use core agency from when we need it. And, and they're relatively satisfied. And everything that they do, all the activities that they come in to do, I honestly could teach my niece it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really not difficult to do what we've designed now. The system prompts you to do it. There's respectfully less thinking to do because it's basically telling you ultimately how to process.
Yeah.
So people is really, really important. We organically grow a lot of our management team within our fulfillment centres. It's very difficult to recruit a site lead in, I feel, because it's all our own software. So you've really got to understand how we've built the business, how it works, etc. So we try to organically grow the senior teams. The senior teams. And what I didn't realise, and this was spontaneous, is that 77% of middle management within our fulfillment centres are female. And I didn't know that.
Oh, right.
I swear to God, I didn't know it. It was just something that...
So that wasn't a calculated play or, like a DUI.
I don't care. All of that stuff, it makes me grumpy because if people are good enough, they're good enough.
Yeah. It's just
Alex Ferguson saying, if you're young enough, you're old enough. It's what it is.
Yeah.
If you're good enough, you're good enough. Yeah.
And I suppose then, like, in terms of health and safety with all this in now, is that is that reduced? Is that
of course.
Is it still...
You don't have any accidents.
Yeah.
I mean,
feel like
there's hardly any faultless truck movements anymore. It's auto replenishment and stuff. So there's still you can still walk into something very easily. So obviously, health and safety is paramount of anything we do. Got a high-raised mezzanine there, for instance, that has to be incredibly safe.
Yeah.
Of course, health and safety is like the first thing we think about. We'll never do anything that's clearly unsafe ever.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned about growing, from the bottom up. What does entry level look like now? Because I think traditionally I'd take it pick packer, but if that's...
Yeah, I mean in this area, pick packer. Yeah, I mean, we've had in different parts of the business, right? You've had receptionists become EAs to the directors of this business. That's one example. You've got Lucy Gorman, who came in as a graduate from university, who's the CEO of a £1.3 billion beauty empire.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's loads of others. Neil Mystery in nutrition was in customer services. He's the CEO of nutrition division.
Wow.
So that's how we've grown our talent, of course. But let's be honest. It's all right having it. It's all about you and your application. There's loads of other people that have just been as talented as people I've just mentioned, and loads of others I've not mentioned, and just haven't done that.
Yeah.
It's all about you.
About
you got to deliver. You don't deliver, you're not going to make it. So,
yeah. No. Well, Tom, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for
showing us around.
Oh, good. Pleasure.
It's been great.